Hi. I see Devin's chewing on some pizza.
All right, good.
I got some jambalaya. Good, so you want that?
Hey, jambalaya.
So good. I know that we're here, we're so appreciative of the folks who are supporting us here. As many of you know, or should know, that we are all Democrats running in deep red districts all across the U.S., and we are working hard in our respective races, and we are just trying to connect and make sure that these races are not just handed over to Republicans, because that's what happens a lot, especially here in the state of Florida. We had a very momentous thing happen here. We filled all of our races with Democrats. Every single state House and state Senate race now has at least one Democratic challenger. In the state of Florida, this hasn't happened in 25 years. That's because we are all like-minded, just like us here at No Dem Left Behind, that we should fight. We have to give it a fighting chance. And one of the reasons that we're all here together is because we are stronger together, right? We're stronger together as candidates, and we're stronger together as volunteers and people who are working to make sure that Democrats, and even districts that the numbers are not looking so hot, or we're just written off immediately because of 100 different reasons, that we have a shot. And it's folks like you who will join us here today to give of your time and your talent and your energy that really make that possible. So thank you so much for being here today. And I was just kind of stepping in to start talking for our live broadcast, but I don't know what else to say. So if somebody else does, please feel free.
Let me hop in here real quick. Can everybody hear me?
Hi, Rich.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, first off, we'll go through here because anybody on the outside, I want to do an introduction with everybody, but then also, talking about volunteers. Honestly, it's really important for each and every one of you all to be reaching out to try to see if you can't build your volunteer base, because those are the people that's going to be making the phone calls for you. Those are the people that's going to be knocking on the doors for you. Those are the people that on election day are going to be driving people to the polls to make sure that they're casting their vote. And, we want to make sure that, until the election, the general election, that's what we have to do. We got to continue building the volunteer support base for each and every one of y'all. Let's take this time real quick for people that are going to come on here. And let's start with Devin. I just want you to kind of introduce yourself to some of these new folks, because this video is going to be seen by lots of folks when they post it, but just want to do an interview or an introduction.
Absolutely. Well, I guess I'll stop eating my pizza for now. It is delicious, though. My name is Devin Pandy. This is my fiance Atia, and we are running for the Georgia 9th Congressional District House seat. We are running to take Doug Collins' seat. Make sure that the Republicans do not occupy that seat for the next year, maybe for the next 4 or 6 years. A little bit about me: I am engaged. I have two kids. We are planning on having 4, and I am a 21-year veteran of the United States Army. 5 deployments. Love my service. I'm retired now, 100% disabled. Loving retirement. Loving getting out of retirement, getting into politics, and I am just raring to go. I told somebody today, I am not a politician. I'm a politician. That's not what I do. However, I have dedicated my life to helping people however I can, wherever I can, whenever I can, and that's exactly what I'm trying to do for the night.
Awesome. Real quick, just one quick question. Are the veterans organizations reaching out to you, VFW, American Legion, those groups?
They have not, no.
Okay, make it a point to go and at least, try to figure out who the main folks are, because ultimately at the end of the day, your service to this nation, you are the one that they should all be lining up to support. And that's a fact. So that's awesome. All right, Mia, you ready?
Of course. course I'm always ready. I'm just trying to get the oven preheated because I'm going to make me some pizza. And y'all might want to watch me make some pizza, so I'm setting up the camera as well. But friends, I'm a veteran, just like Devin. Not that much disabled, but guess what? I live on my pension, less than $13,000 a year. And trust me, we're out here to help and protect you, especially when it comes to the issues that we are so concerned about, like our health care, making sure people are protected, making sure they're not discriminated against, and our civil rights are there for the remainder of our lives and for our children's lives. So that's why we love this fight. This is why we are going to DC to make a difference for you, our entire community. So thank you, Rich. We'll be right back.
Awesome, Mia. I also want to let people know Mia is also the recipient of the Combat Infantryman's Badge. Much respect there. Okay, let's go real quick. I know that Dr. Banya, you spoke, but just in case, give us another quick introduction.
I was just talking to kick us off. I didn't really even say much about me, but I am Dr. Cindy Banya. I am running for Florida Congressional District 19. I'm a mom and small business owner, and I'm fighting for our water, our health, and our community. And that's a little bit about me. I am down here in what is now growing as the COVID Central of Florida, which is frightening. I'm frightening as the mother of a vulnerable child. So my daughter, who will probably bound in here at some point, she's 3 years old and spent the first 2 years of her life in and out of the hospital fighting a rare blood disease. And while she was fighting for her life, we were fighting the insurance companies. And no American should be faced with that, be faced with medical bankruptcy, and have to fight profiteering to save their kids' lives, or anyone in their family for that matter. So that's what's got me in the fight. I am also somebody who's been very committed to our community. I'm a longtime activist and nonprofit management consultant, and I run nonprofits, homeless organizations in this area. And one of the things that was really important to me as I was working with those hundreds of organizations and thousands of people across our region is making sure that the voice of the people is raised up to be on the same level as the CEOs and politicians. And I would write reports and I would give it to leaders, and they would pat me on the head and say thanks and not do anything about it. And so I am running to be the servant leader that the people of Southwest Florida deserve. And I'm feisty, so I used to be a boxer. So although I'm not in the service, but I have that bit of grit that I think all of us here as Democrats need to be able to take on these incredibly challenging Republican districts. I do have some very fantastic photos that a wonderful supporter here in Southwest Florida took for me this past weekend. We ran into my boxing gym while it was closed this weekend and took some great shots for my brand photo this weekend. So I would love for you to check those out on my Facebook page, and shout out to Jesse Kaysen for her support.
Well, I will tell you, that's one of the things I wanted to make sure you let people know is that she's been a professional fighter. So that's one of the best things about this group that I really love. After looking at everybody's backgrounds, we are talking about people that are not scared to get into the fight. We're talking about people that want to go to Washington D.C. and are not going to sit silent. They're going to go there and actually represent their people. They're going to fight for their people. And I will tell you, it's such an honor to be a part of this group. I couldn't be any happier. Let's pull up Robert from Louisiana. Hop in there, Robert.
Hey, Richard. Thank you. Thanks everybody else for joining us tonight. I'm not going to cover the same things everybody else did, but my name is Rob Anderson. I'm from Louisiana's 3rd Congressional District, which is the southwest of Louisiana, not the famous part with New Orleans. That's somewhere else. We're over here in the working class area with Lake Charles, Lafayette. A lot of oil and gas, a lot of eroding marshes. So what we try to do with my campaign is to speak to the actual issues that the working class have without the onus of corporate money standing over us. And I agree with Richard that a lot of, to our volunteers specifically, a lot of people don't realize that, your grassroots candidates can win. They will fight, and they can win for you. But, we do need your help because we are fighting incumbents with a lot of money in general. So volunteering phone banking, postcards, door knocking when the time comes up with that. In the time of COVID right now, that's an iffy thing. But nevertheless, volunteers are everything. So the more volunteers we can get, we can actually compete against the big money. So that's it for now. I'll turn it over to the next.
Okay, Heather. I see Heather on here.
Me, Heather?
That's you.
Oh, honestly, I don't even know how I got to this group. I'm just super excited to be a part of it.
Where are you from, Heather?
Pittsburgh, PA.
Pittsburgh. Okay.
Yeah. All my neighbors are Trumpers, and I am a huge no Trumper. Got all my signs up, and I'm painting every room in my house a different shade of blue right now. So seriously, I am. I don't know if you can see back there or not, but yeah. So I really, honestly, truly don't know how I got signed up to do this, but I'll do whatever the heck you need.
Well, Heather, what I want you to do is I want you to take the time. I want you to check out our candidates. Let me tell you something. We volunteers from all over. You may know people in Florida. You may know people in Georgia. Okay? You may know people in Louisiana. You contact every friend that you know from those areas there, and you educate them about our candidates, because that's exactly how we do it. You can help our candidates, and they're not even from your state.
I'm in.
There we go. All right, I see is it Jakul?
Hey everybody, it's J.E. Colton. I'm actually super duper SJW on Twitter, and I'm also a legislative rep for the Tarrant County Central Labor Council, the Texas AFL-CIO. I've been a union member for 30 years with the Transport Workers Union, 513 in Dallas-Fort Worth. I've supported Richard back when he was running as senator. We're currently supporting Rob Anderson every month, and I think we're also contributing to every candidate on No Dem Left Behind right now. And we're also, I'm a voter registrar for Tarrant County and Denton County. I'm trying to get out to every person that looks like they're under the age of 30 to try to get them to register to vote. Been pretty successful with that. So I just want to say I love you guys. I'm glad that we have a voice for labor, and we're just rooting on all of you. So thanks for having me.
Hey, thank you. That's awesome. All right, you're up, Al. I'm going down the line.
Alan or Al?
I see Al.
Yeah, that's me. Thanks, Richard. I appreciate it. Number one, I want to tell Devin don't get any crumbs in his beard. My name's Al Robertson. I'm down here in Plano, Texas, not far from Jay. And Richard, I want to thank you for following me on Twitter last night. But I don't know if any of you saw my tweet this evening, but I woke up this morning and it dawned on me that today marks 5 years I retired from the military after 21 years of service.
Nice.
So, thank you. 5 years, yeah, hey. 5 years flew by, but I am a former candidate down here in Texas 03. I unfortunately had to suspend my campaign on November 1st of last year due to fundraising issues. No one just didn't seem to want to fund my campaign or donate. But I support Devin, Richard, I'm supporting you, all of our candidates. And I know I talked to Rob quite a couple of times on Twitter. But I am planning on running again in 2022, depending on what happens in November. I re-registered with the FEC, but I'm not actively campaigning, even though every morning I wake up and sometimes I have a surprise and an Active Blue donation. But other than that, I'm supporting everybody on No Dem Left Behind, and I wish everybody luck. And let's take back the Congress, the Senate, and the White House.
Absolutely, that's awesome. And that's one of the things that I really appreciate. I tell people all the time is that our candidates in No Dem Left Behind, when they get to Washington, D.C., they are not owned by anybody. And that's absolutely awesome. So who do we got on the screen now? Is it Alan?
Yeah.
Oh, Alan. Hi, I'm Alan. I live in Los Angeles, so I'm not in a rural area. I was raised in a super liberal family. My mother was one of the first 8 members of a small union in Los Angeles called UTLA. Matter of fact, she started with those 8 people. Now every teacher in the city of Los Angeles is a member, whether they want to be or not. You have to be a union member at school districts here. And that's just my background. I was the only liberal in, I kind of did corporate banking, and I tell you, I got shelled every election, and at the end of every election, I just smiled because I knew I was right all along. I'm blessed with a beautiful family. I have 3 sons. It's just a pleasure to have been helping all of you, and I help many Democratic candidates with my tweeting. Unfortunately, I became disabled about 10 years ago, and it's not that I can't get around, I can't drive anymore, I can't see. I got my glasses on, but literally without my magnifying glass, I can't read anything. But that's okay. I had a disease that I should have lost my foot. Thank God for Obamacare. ACA saved my foot, and then later on I had a spinal injury. They thought I had ALS, and fortunately they could fix my spinal injury, but my C2 through C7 have all been removed. I have nothing but cadaver bone and rot in my neck. And in my neighborhood, it's easy to be a liberal. We're about 86% Democratic in my district. It's nothing to you don't see red hats in my neighborhood, which is a very fortunate thing. It insults me. The thing I wish I saw more of in my neighborhood and everywhere I've gone is masks on people, because this COVID-19 kills people, and so many people are nonchalant about it. It's just killing me. But I can't wait for the entire country to be blue. And I can't wait for the criminal in the White House to be not in the White House, or hopefully in jail. Treason is something I don't take serious. I take very seriously. Treason to me is one, and I know I'm probably not supposed to say this, but it's the one thing, if you're a government official and you committed treason, you should be sentenced to death. That's my only, I think every one of those traitors needs to be put to death.
Oh my God.
I know it's a hard thing to talk about, but I am so sick of people selling America.
Well, I will tell you that, you're out there in California, and California is a great place with a lot of people that support candidates like ours. So any opportunity for you to get some to look our way would be awesome. When I ran for Congress, I come from one of the poorest states in the country, and I was able to raise $3 million, and I'll tell you, a lot of it come from out there, next to the woods. All right, Ron.
I've been following so many people, including you, before No Dem Left Behind, but I was an early member of it, and honestly, it's been my pleasure to work with people. I DM many of you, and I'm always so pleased to get answers from people. It's the one thing, if anybody else is on this call, the candidates are very responsive. And if you have questions, text, DM. I mean, literally just DM them and you will get an answer. I've enjoyed that so much. It's so frustrating in dealing with politicians that you can call their office to your blue. I called my local congressman, who's a Democrat, to volunteer, and I couldn't get him to call me back. I couldn't get anybody in the office to call me back. And I thought, why? Why? Can't you use help? And as I said, I'm in a very Democratic district, so maybe that's what it is. But I have I walk everywhere. I'm very healthy for all the conditions I have. And I wish I could live locally with some of you folks, because I would be there every day, pounding, looking to try to help in any way I can.
Well, we appreciate that. All right, Rob Madison, let's see what you got.
Hey, folks, how you doing? I'm going to share my time I became a Democrat.
One day, George Bush said he called the war in Iraq a catastrophic success, and that really pissed me off. He said it so lightly, and so, as a matter of fact, he didn't seem to give a damn about anybody else. At that point, I decided, I got a kid on the way. I got 2 sons now. I volunteered to work back in 2008 with what was social media back then certainly isn't what it is now, for a candidate named Nick Leadham. Unfortunately, we lost. And then my district was totally redistricted, and we wound up falling under Darrell Issa, which is another blight on our country. I never cared for that guy. And now Mike Levin is now my congressman. He's a good dude. So my thinking here, I'm just trying to listen to everybody here and see where I can go, what I can do to sort of help online, what I can do to help promote. Myself, I'm furloughed. I'm an IT manager for a company called Green Flash Brewing Company. So I'm here by myself, basically at home, only working 9 hours a week. My wife lost her job also, so I'm trying to find something to do as well. Kind of keep myself going and not drive myself crazy sitting here doing nothing all day. So I support all of y'all, and I appreciate this group as it is.
Appreciate that. Alan, you're up.
How's everyone doing today?
Good.
Well, it's so good to be here, even though I don't have a pizza. So what I did was eat me like a paper pizza. So, I'm Alan Ellison, running for the U.S. House of Representatives in Florida 17th District. And I'm looking to basically help to improve the quality of life for everyone. It's interesting, I hear that you talk about making phone calls to the congressman in your district to try to, volunteer. That's the issue pretty much everywhere, especially here in our district. I've had to write letters to our member of Congress, both of them, on behalf of citizens, only to have them either not return or have some generic message that speaks to some other issue other than the one that they were receiving. And so in this district, it's very large. It's 9 counties, and we have a very diverse population. Most of the people in this district don't have proper representation. Some of them don't have any representation. And it's so unfortunate that you have members or candidates who try and run and then win without fully understanding the idea of what a representative is. And so I tell people, often, as a political scientist, I tell them, I say, it's really a social contract. It's an agency. It's a situation where you are representing their issues. But if you don't pick up the phone and return a phone call back, or you're not holding a town hall, you're not going door to door and getting a chance to really understand the people, understand their issues, then you really can't represent their issues. So, a lot of these congressmen are there to represent themselves. And so we need to definitely work to get these individuals out of office. We need to make sure that we have representatives who intimately understand the issues and intimately understand what people are battling, what they're going through. Because it's really a shame to have a representative and people don't even know who their representative is. When I was on the campaign trail prior to COVID, I would always ask someone this simple question: who is your congressman? And 99% of the time, they could not tell me who their congressman was. And I tell them that the reason you don't know the name of your congressman is because he hasn't done anything significant to impact your life. And so we have to be able to ask people these questions because it starts to make them think whether they're Democrat or Republican. It's a very good question for Republicans, because if they can't answer that question, the obvious answer is, well, if you don't know that person, well, you know me. So vote for me this election, because at least you get a chance to hear me, know me, interact with me, and you know that I know what you're dealing with, because most of these times you don't know what's going on with people. I think too often we have a do-nothing Congress because people are so bent on political ideology that they're not really listening to the people. So I want to challenge every one of you to make sure that you are listening to the people and make sure that you are educating the people. And the whole thing about campaigning is educating. We have to have a better educated public, because a better educated public will usually choose the right candidate. When I was in political science, one of the things we found out about elections, it's usually a beauty contest, because most people are not going to take the time to get to know the background of the candidates, and not to take the time to look at the policies. They're just going to look at the surface stuff like how much swagger this person has, or how much money they raised, or what is their title like. Stuff that really does not matter. And the things that do matter is, does this person have a heart for this? Does this person have a comprehensive understanding of policy, government, and how it works? If you think about the fact that we haven't had real education about policy and the actions of our politicians before election, this is exactly how Donald Trump got elected when he did. We got an individual, because the country was really tired of career politicians not doing anything, not returning phone calls, and they wanted something different. It's a shame that we got something so different, that we got an idiot who can't even grasp the concept of policy, government, or really even have the capacity to care for people. He's a narcissist, doesn't have the capacity, doesn't have the empathy, and will throw anyone under the bus who's not loyal to anybody, but demands complete loyalty. It's a real shame that he has done nothing with a Russian dictator who has placed bounties on the heads of our soldiers. We need to get rid of him quick, fast, and in a hurry. And so I'm very happy that Joe Biden is running for president. I'm very happy that Devin is going to unseat Doug Collins, because he was one of the guys that was on the hearing when it came to the impeachment, along with my congressman, who I'm trying to unseat, the one that called the lawyer, the New York lawyer, like 3 times. So we need to get rid of these kinds of individuals, because they're only there to basically do the bidding of the president and look out for self, not the people. So thank you all very much for taking the time to get on this call. I'm going to go and have me a slice of pizza now.
Okay, now here's some.
What the heck is that?
I just tried to sing the phone.
What is it, man?
Okay.
Bombed. What was that?
I have no clue.
That was a Zoom bomber.
Real quick, what I want to do before we go to Adam Christensen, I want to make sure that everybody remembers in the last the live town hall that I did, and I spoke about the live videos. I would ask that, for everybody to try to get connected with me, because I would like, let me tell you something. Your opponents will rarely ever have the guts to stand in front of people and create a two-way line of communication and answer questions. And I'm going to tell you, it is absolutely something that people will respect immensely when they realize that you are not scared to face them, answer the questions that they have. Live videos are absolutely amazing at helping you build your audience. And, once again, these videos get shared over and over again, and that's how you get a lot of support in your areas. So I just wanted to make sure people know that's something that you absolutely should be doing, because your opponents usually do not have the backbone to do it, but you do. So, all right, Adam Christensen, hop in there.
Hey, everybody. I'm Adam. I don't have the power pose like Alan, so sorry about that. But this one is kind of upset that he wasn't in the picture, so he's going to say hi. This is Pummel.
Nice.
I am running in North Central Florida, trying to knock off, Ted Yoho currently is our representative. He is one of 4 people who voted against making lynching a federal crime, and he's one of the people who also thinks that the Civil Rights Act was unconstitutional. So he is retiring, thank goodness, but we've got a couple people that are trying to replace him that are far worse. I'm running mostly just because, I didn't feel like I had any other choice. This district is a +8. It's very flippable. At the same time, we didn't have anybody who was actually going to step up and do it, and somebody who could actually speak to things that were affecting people's lives. So I know for me, and especially a lot of people, student loan debt is absolutely destroying people. They're not able to buy homes. They're not able to afford things. It's basically predatory debt. So we're talking about a lot of things. I'm calling things like Medicare for All a middle class and small business tax cut, because at the end of the day, we're cutting private taxes. And so premiums, deductibles, those are taxes. And so we're really framing a lot of things, a lot of progressive ideas, a lot of things that are very popular in a way that especially conservatives and independents, like. And so we refer to a lot of things in a very different way than a lot of people do, but we refuse to water down actual policy. And so that's, we're running down here in North Central Florida, basically trying to flip it. Cindy, shout out to my other Floridian, and then also Alan, who has been teaching me about presence on the camera. So Rob, have you changed clothes since we started this? Because I really can't keep up anymore, man. Like, the amount of profile pictures you switch every single week, driving me crazy. That's it. That's all I got. I have jambalaya. I don't have pizza. Sorry. I know that was in the memo. My bad. Okay. Now, I think, do we have any other candidates out there that we have not had spoke yet? So for the other folks that are on here, I'm assuming that maybe you all have some questions for some of our candidates. Here we are.
That's right. We are here. Start filling the chat box so that we can get those questions passed around, so that Richard can get us in there. We're ready. We've been doing this since August, and before then, getting prepared, getting ready. It's now springtime, and summer's just started, and the weather's looking good. We want to go splash in the water. Make sure you're out there and you're wearing your mask. So, let's get our questions in. Type.
All right, I'm looking here. If anybody has a question they want to pop on and ask, go for it. I'm looking at these chats now.
All right, while we're waiting for that, one of the best things I can tell you is, how can you help? Well, on the live feeds, we actually have our website there. It's called NoDemLeftBehind.com. Tell others to join us. Make them a volunteer. Encourage them to join us. Also, if you just want to contribute, the website is right there in front of you so that you can make a small grassroots donation that gets divided among all of our amazing candidates that you're seeing here tonight. Fight for our rural districts to make them blue. That's what's going to happen. Here's our first question. Who wants to tackle this one? Can we successfully expand Medicare for all? Who wants to take that one? Raising, or I'm going to put everybody's name in a hat. Go, Adam.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that the way that especially for people like us have to approach it running in red districts is we focus on a couple of things. We focus on, number one, what are insurance companies, what are they actually? They are middlemen. They are basically just predatory, and essentially they are taking money from us, 30% of everything that we pay. And so when you focus on things like that and basically say, and you can almost make a Republican argument here, which is absolutely wonderful, you want to cut the fat, you want to basically trim regulation, and the way to do that is to remove the middlemen from the system. And then you point out that the insurance companies only function essentially to deny care, and that the reason things are so expensive is that they are in it. And so when you really focus, I think, on the insurance companies, Republicans and independents hate insurance companies. That's one thing. They hate them almost as much as they hate towing companies. And if we focus on those things, and you basically put the onus on that, and you really focus on that, especially in rural areas, you get a lot more support than, and you basically don't allow them to turn it and say, oh, well, this would be socialized medicine. You can really frame it in a way that takes that away from them as an argument.
Okay, awesome. Anybody else got anything they want to add to that?
I'd like to add, actually, because this is one of the big issues for me. One of the things that I talk about is not only just having a phased approach in the way that some of the presidential candidates have talked about the issue, but then, talking about it in terms that are not so buzzworthy also. I did a lot of my research and had lived previously in Japan. So I talk about basing it off that system, even though technically Obamacare borrowed quite a bit from the Japanese model. There are a lot of components of it that we didn't import fully, like a sliding scale user fee, like a decentralized implementation, like a national cost setting. Those are the major components that make that plan a lot more feasible in the long run. And we talk about that, yeah, there you go. It makes it a little bit more palatable than just, saying, oh, we're going to expand a program, because that sets off the folks who are the small government folks, right? Saying, oh, we need it, The other thing I think that we need to make sure of as Democrats is to make sure that we're getting out of the how we're going to pay for it trap. Because this is, again, where people who want to blow holes in the Medicare for All or any kind of healthcare reform, they really get us in a pickle, because, yeah, it's going to probably cost money, but it's ultimately in the long run going to cost less. But furthermore, in any government program, when we start talking about how we're going to develop programs to serve the public good, money in the U.S. economy, in economic sense, when it comes to public good, is not really the problem. If we're seeing that happen in real time, we're basically pulling money from thin air, because it's a commodity, it's a public good that the government controls. So as long as we have functioning components of our economy, as long as we have resources, as long as we have assets, as long as we have agriculture and university and research and development, as long as we have major tenants in our economy that are producing things, as long as we have people who are believing that our economy is still functioning, our economy still functions. And we still have the ability to invest in the public good with public dollars. And I think if we start talking about that, instead of saying, hey, it's going to cost X trillions amount of dollars, which are ultimately just guesses anyway, to say, look, we're going to design a great program, we're going to design it to be efficient and effective, and we're going to make sure that we have the funds to pay for it, and we're going to appropriate that the way that we need to in Congress. And it kind of gets us out of this pickle of X amount of dollars equals X amount of goods, because it doesn't work like that.
Excellent answer, Cindy. Thank you.
I want to jump on this one real quick from Dennis Parker, and it talks about how do you remove the stigma in these districts of having the D next to your name. Let me tell you, people need to understand that the Democratic Party historically has always been the party that actually stood up for the working class citizen. That's a fact. Democrats have always supported the unions, and the Republicans are always supporting the corporations. The Democrats are the ones that believe that if I'm going to send you away and break you in war, I'm going to fix you when you come home. We believe in raising the cap because we want to take care of our elderly. We want Social Security to be there for our kids. And we are the party that believes that we need to help people elevate themselves out of poverty with a hand up. That's what being a Democrat is. And when you are going around and people are asking you those questions, right now we've got a lot of people that are out here, waving their rebel flags and all this stuff, and they don't even understand. And it's up to us to educate these people. Our party cares about the working class, and the Republicans, you can't put us side to side and not see a big difference in us. So I just wanted to make sure that we answer that. That's something that everybody needs to have on the tip of their tongue, because especially in these red rural districts, you've got to educate people on why the Democrat is the one they need to support.
Awesome. Thank you, Rich. We had another question that was about Medicare, and it was talking about how do we convince those to actually do it? My simple answer is it's affordable price per year. You take a look at HR 1384, you're going to see that some people will be paying, just like me, who have TRICARE for Life, which is called Medicare in some states and areas. It is $600 per year for my entire family. Imagine not having to pay per month or per paycheck, but per year. That's what I take to my neighbors. That's what I take to the community. And I tell them that because it's going to be important, because they're going to, save money all year long, especially when it comes to co-pays and prescriptions. So that's how we convince people to get on the bandwagon and expand the Affordable Care Act and make Medicare for All happen. Who's ready for the next question? All right. Devin, do you want to take a question?
I think Lauren's got a good question.
Yeah, she does. All right, so the question is, what local federal policies do you believe can help combat racial injustice and systematic racism?
All right. Racial injustice and systemic racism. So there are a few things that I've already called for. Simple things like banning chokeholds, banning police chokeholds. That can go a long way in saving a life. Banning phone restraint. Those can go a long way to saving life. But then you also have, there are, how do I put this? I'm at a loss right now. Hold on, give me a second. Okay, so yes, we can also start issuing baby bonds. Baby bonds can go a long way to actually ensuring that our children have a future, have an educational future. That was pretty funny. I don't know who that was, but that was hilarious. So yes, but baby bonds can go a long way as well. All
right.
Let me.
Oh, hey, I'm sorry. And then also decriminalizing of marijuana.
I don't know who that is, but let me tell you,
he's gone.
Unacceptable.
He's gone.
Great. All right. Yeah. So, the decriminalization of marijuana, that can go a long way. So, the decriminalization of marijuana, you have to understand that for what happened is that certain drugs that are commonly used by certain races have been criminalized in a different way than others. And so while you'll have marijuana, which should not be criminalized in the first place, but you'll have your black crack user getting 20 years for using, and you'll have your white cocaine user getting 6 months. And there's no way that anyone can convince me that that is fair. So not only decriminalizing marijuana, but also ensuring that our other drug offenses are balanced.
Let me. This is a phenomenal question from Lauren, and I'm sure that many of us here probably have something to add to this. I will tell you, because I know that we have a lot of veterans in this panel, and I know that many of you all are just like me. When we crossed the border into Iraq, remember, we called it hillbilly armor. You know, I had wood around my vehicle, and I had sandbags that I sat on. And I will tell you that it kills me when I realize that we have, and look, I'm not against police officers, but, you know, there's a book called Rise of the Warrior Cop that is basically turning our police into almost as if they're, you know, secret, you know, squads. There's no reason for a place in West Virginia that has 1,500 people for the police to have an actual MRAP. And that's the kind of stuff that's going on. And honestly, that's not the way policing is supposed to be done. And I think that everybody on here understands, you know, when I'm watching police officers that have better gear than the gear we had in Iraq and Afghanistan, I have to ask the question, what's going on here? Where's the priorities here? You know, police officers protect and serve, and they're supposed to be on a level with the citizens, you know, and I think that we are seeing some serious problems, and I think everybody can add to this. It's a great question, but I agree with what Devin was saying as well. You know, if we opened our jails tomorrow and let everybody out that was in there over marijuana arrests, we would have so much room to put people that are absolutely deserving to be in jail. You know, it's time for us to, you know, let let my people grow. Ooh.
Yeah, and let's talk a little bit about defunding the police. Personally, I don't like that mantra, defund the police, because it gives off the wrong it gives off the wrong message. So what we really actually need to do is we need to reallocate police funding. And the reallocating, we can do so much more with the money that is used on a SWAT vehicle or a rocket launcher. We could do a lot more with that by putting that money into our communities, into our lower income communities. That would do more to stop crimes of necessity than any rocket launcher could. So absolutely, go ahead, Richard.
No, I agree with you wholeheartedly. And like I said, I'm also kind of throwing things out here because I'm hoping that some of you all may go, hey, I agree with that, and that's something that you may be able to take and speak on. I've also heard about committees being established that actually are the ones that every single action that is done by local police, their actions go in front of a committee, and then the committee makes a decision if they see something that they do not agree with.
Absolutely.
I'm absolutely supportive of those type of things because I will tell you that 2 days, it was like two days after George Floyd was murdered, I flew to Minneapolis and I went down to the exact spot. And I tell you, that police station, they have basically disbanded the entire police station because there is multiple people that have been basically, the things that they've done. The man that kneeled on George Floyd's neck has like 4 or 5 other incidents where he has squeezed triggers and people have died. That's not what it's about. And it's important for each and every one of us, when these messages come up, these questions come up, we've got to be able to speak about this stuff. And that's why these sessions are so important with each and every one of us.
Yeah, and that brings up another policy that I can think of is that we need to have a national database of all police officers. We have a national database of real estate agents. Why can't we have a national database of police officers? And every single thing, whether it's good or bad, needs to be in that database. There is no reason why somebody should get fired in one state for doing something and get hired in another state doing the same thing.
There's a bill already submitted, and it's going through. And there's about 30 co-sponsors. I heard it today on the radio while I was driving around. And, tonight we are honestly thankful for all of you volunteers for joining us. It is, one of the best things I can say is that we are glad to have you here, because when you take a look at the link below you can help us get somebody signed up tonight to make sure that they support us in all of our districts in Florida, Georgia, Maryland, all the way out in Montana. Where else? Where are you, Rob? Louisiana. That's right. Favorite place. So now we have a simple question that came in about the Trump campaign has raised $1 billion, and this is going directly to Alan Ellison. How can we as Democrats even compete against those kind of huge numbers? We're in a pandemic. How can we make it better with our volunteers to send a message to them?
Great question. It's very difficult to compete against big dollars. When I ran it in 2018, I had 28 days to run against a state senator who was running for the U.S. seat. He had raised $1 million. I think I raised something like, the qualifying fee, which was $10,000, and maybe a couple of other $1,000. I know that I didn't get over $15,000. But one of the things that we did was we strategized and we came up with a way to be able to reach people, even if our money couldn't do it. And so this year, we're trying to take and build upon that strategy. And what I've come up with and my team has come up with is we have to be able to reach people where they are. There's 350 million people in this country, and there's more active cell phones than there are people. So that means that pretty much everyone has a cell phone, and some people have two. And if you're going to look at where people are, they're probably on social media on their phone. So they're going to be hooked up to Facebook, they're going to be hooked up to Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. And so what happens is, for every person that is on our side, they know at least 100 other people through social media. So we have to be able to utilize technological platforms in a way that maximizes our voice, maximizes our stances, and more than anything, we have to synchronize our message, because we have a party, and as Richard was saying earlier, the progressive agenda has always been about improving the quality of life for everyone. But in that, we are also the party who tries to tackle all of the social issues. And what happens is that our main message gets lost. And the Republicans' message is usually one or two dimensional. It's pro-life or pro-gun. And that message, it gets their people fired up. We need to synchronize our message. And I keep calling for the progressive agenda and the Democrats to keep focusing in on improving the quality of life. And once that message is out, it is a message that will transcend party lines, because we actually have more in common with Republicans than we don't. We just have to make sure that they understand that we all want the same things, and it's just a matter of how we spend money to get it. Now, as far as how we're going to be able to reach these individuals when we don't have the same type of funding mechanism, we have to utilize every single technological platform that exists. So if you have a campaign, I would suggest that you open a Medium account, because a Medium account is going to allow you to maximize your voice. I would suggest getting a list of every news reporter in your district, every news reporter in the country, and being able to build a relationship with the news media. And it should be very easy in this day and time, especially with the media being under a constant attack by the Trump administration. Now, Malcolm X said something that was very important. He said, "He who controls the media controls the people." When he made that comment, multimedia did not exist. The only media we had was newspapers and television, radio. Today we have newspapers, television, radio, we have social media, and then we have websites, and then we have a digital media, which is text messages and things of that nature, cell phones. So we have even more platforms that we can utilize to reach even more people than we've ever had before. And if you remember, when Obama ran, he didn't have the big dollars like the other candidates had, but he utilized technology and social media in a way that he was still able to get his message out. It was a strong message. It was the timely message. And that's what we have to do. We have to focus in on where we are in our climate. Right now, the two biggest issues that's going on in our economy is, or three issues. That is our economy, because of the lack of jobs that have been lost, and that is the COVID situation. So you're talking about healthcare, and then you're dealing with the Black Lives Matter movement after the death of George Floyd. So people are up in an uproar right now. There's a lot of energy in the room, and what we have to do is we have to take those three issues, because that's pretty much what people are talking about, and we have to put together strategic, focused policies that speak to those issues that people, because they're having the conversations right now. If you look at analytics, there are companies that you can literally see exactly what people are talking about. It's usually going to be God, Jesus Christ, Obama, and then it's going to be these issues. George Floyd, it's going to be COVID-19, it's going to be jobs in the economy. So if we focus on those issues, we should be able to win, even though the Trump administration has put $1 billion into their coffers. Because with all of their money, they are still losing. Joe Biden is ahead of Trump in all of the polls across the country. And we have to make sure that we are leading in the polls by not only synchronizing our message with his campaign, but also synchronizing our message with the issues that people are talking about. I know that every issue matters, and it has always mattered. But we have to synchronize those issues and synchronize those messages to speak to what people want to hear about. There are companies in New York, WPP, all these marketing companies, they spend billions of dollars every year to know exactly what is on the hearts and minds of people, and then they target those people with messaging. We need to fix our messaging, and we need to be able to infiltrate the conversation, let them know who we are, let them know that we have more in common than we have in differences, and they will come over. Our campaign, we have close to 1,000 new volunteers, and they're coming aboard on all different walks of life. We don't have a huge budget, but we're utilizing technology, and we're activating every single person that has voice and has something to say because of what's going on in our climate. These Black Lives Matter people, they're protesting, they're marching, they want answers, but not everybody's going to have the policy answers. Not everybody's going to have true knowledge about how government works. But that's where we come in. We come in with the solutions. We give them the microphone, and we feed them the information and let them build a coalition around what we're doing so that we can take those numbers, take that momentum, and get into office. Because if we're really going to change policies, and if we're really going to change systemic racism and social injustice in this country, you have to have a seat at the table. So I want to challenge each and every one of you that's on here tonight that are ambassadors, consider running for office in the next election. Because the more Democrats we have running for office, every Democrat has a base of people that follow them. And if we get all of those bases of people in all of these offices to get out and get motivated, we have more Democrats in this country than we have Republicans. There's no reason why we can't.
We're going to win, Alan. We will make that difference. And we have to be able to drive that home by getting our volunteers to not just join your campaign, but everybody's campaign. This is why we are a whole coalition. And we understand we got a ton of issues to get through, and we have to make sure that everybody has their time. And we want to make sure that we talk about some of the biggest things that are going on right now, like the pandemic and other things like healthcare and jobs. Now, the thing is people have a home. They could lose their home if they don't have a job. And the thing that they're not thinking about that is there every day is climate change when they drive to work. And this question is for you, Rob. You're down in Louisiana.
Real quick, before you answer that question, because there's two things. Number one, remember, we are running in red rural districts. So do not be scared to go out and engage with Republicans. You know, if you win, they have to understand that if you win, you are going to be a congressman for all the people. So that's a very important thing, because sometimes, you know, when you start talking that party piece, people only think they want to support one side, but you can convince those people to support you because you're going to go there and work for everybody. Now, on top of that, also, remember, no matter what, we vote like we are the tiebreaker. I don't care what the polls say about Biden. We go to the polls like we are the tiebreaker, because I'll tell you right now, they're hoping that people will think, Biden's got this in the bag, and we don't want to wake up the next morning to find out that Donald Trump just got another 4 years.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you, Richard. Now, we understand we got a lot going on, a lot on our plates. We got a whole pie to eat. And, you know, hopefully you're enjoying this. Wonderful questions y'all have provided. And Rob Anderson, we got a question for you, especially from somebody who's in the room right now. How important is climate change for you?
Very important, actually, down here in Louisiana. It's not a theoretical issue like it is in perhaps in some parts of the country, perceived anyway as a theoretical issue. Down here, we're losing. The numbers vary, but you know, a football field an hour is a pretty good guess. We're losing to the Gulf all the time, and have been for years. We have problems with oil companies who dredge out new canals and basins and don't fill them back in when they're supposed to because they don't get punished. We have saltwater intrusion into our wetlands. We have, of course, the warming that's affecting us all on a global scale, increased CO2. So it's a very real issue down here. And mostly we address it specifically as coastal erosion because it's very real. And, people in our district actually lose their fishing camps, to climate change. So it's not, something we read about on the news. It's, your neighbor lost their camp. So there's a lot of things we look at. One, a push, of course, as part of our platform towards more alternative energies. One, to bring new jobs, of course, and two, to provide more green energy, which helps the country as a whole, and to incentivize that. Another one is, increasing federal, you put it, support of levee systems and working on the encroachment, trying to keep the land we do have. A big part of it is regulation, making sure oil companies are actually held accountable for what they do in the district. We already have rules that they ignore currently, as I said, like filling in after they dredge out a canal to reach a new station, they're filling back in afterwards. And there's, I forget the number, 10,000 miles, I think, of open canals that were just left in all these basins. So it is a very real issue, and it's like one of the top 4 issues we have: infrastructure, healthcare, education, climate change.
Perfect. Thank you so much for that. And we got just another question, like, what are the most important issues, like, in my district? This comes from Lauren. She's asking me directly. I have to say, right now, it's going to be jobs. People are losing their business. There's about 2.2 million restaurants that are looking to close, and I was down in Ocean City today, and they were trying to open up and bring tourists in, and only a quarter of the people there on the boardwalk were actually wearing a mask. We implore everybody, no matter what state you're in, to wear a mask. And if you're a volunteer, you can stand up and try to enforce that. And it's not about ideology or, Democrat or Republican, but it is about making sure that they're safe. So I have the last question for tonight. I need a volunteer. Who would like to answer this one question? How about you, Cindy? Do you want to take this one away?
Sure.
All right.
I'm ready for anything.
Here you go. How do you convince somebody to vote for Joe Biden who isn't a fan of Joe Biden?
Well, yeah, that's actually something I'm going to have to do in my district as well. I think what it comes down to is really just telling the story and painting the vision of the future and the America that we really want. One criticism I hear from Democrats about Democrats quite a bit running in this very red district is that we're full of doom and gloom. Right? But this is the climate change is coming, flooding is coming, the pestilence, the pandemic, everybody is scared. And when people are scared, they retrench. Okay, they retrench, they stay home, they don't do anything. So I think if we really want people to get out and vote, want them to register, want them to vote to get rid of Trump, to vote for Joe Biden, and they're not that convinced, maybe they're not policy savvy. That's the other thing to keep in mind, folks. The vast majority of Americans, they're not policy wonks. They want to feel safe. They want to have, take care of their family. They want to live nice lives. Like Alan was saying, quality of life. That's what they want. And so we have to get them convinced, fill them with hope. This was Obama's whole thing. This is why he was able to get so many people out, is that, we paint the vision of the future America that we want. We want people who are safe in their communities, safe from disease, safe from gun violence. We want people who have good paying jobs that they are paid well for, and not having their corporations profit off of their work while they're living off the welfare state, right? We want people who can, we want America that's safe from foreign infiltration. We want people to live great lives and be respected and be equal. And if we fill people with hope, then we are going to be able to convince people to come out to the polls and do whatever is necessary, because we know it's going to be crazy. right? I'll tell you, Florida right now, August 18th is our primary coming up, and we are spiking like mad for coronavirus. So we may or may not even have in-person polling. We may get the thing kicked out. We have no idea right now. That level of uncertainty dissuades people. So it's about providing the leadership that we haven't had. The calm, cool, collected security and hope for the future. That is how we're going to get people to vote for Joe Biden. That is how we're going to get people to vote for us Democrats in these red districts, is providing that vision and giving them the security to know that we are with them.
Awesome. Thank you, Cindy. Now here we go. A volunteer wants to be able to speak. Her name is Nicole, and she's ready to ask one of us a question. Take it away, Nicole.
Thank you, everyone. I don't know if I exactly have a question, but more commentary. First off, I'm in West Virginia, so I just want to shout out Richard. Also thank him for endorsing Paula Jean when she won our Democratic primary as well. I voted for him in the last one and her in this one, so West Virginia in the House. Appreciate you standing behind her. Also, to the question of how are we going to pay for all these things, it shouldn't be a question of how we're going to pay for anything. It's our money. The money comes from taxes. Taxes come from working people. Therefore, it should go to paying for what is going to benefit the most amount of people. And as far as the police brutality and the issues with the Black Lives Matter movement and things like that, I have a comment because my twin brother is a police officer in Richmond, Virginia. And while a lot of the protesters have not been engaging in any of the vandalism or violence or anything like that, unfortunately, a lot of them have. And he's been out there for weeks now or days now, and he actually is on medical leave and has to have surgery tomorrow because of an injury he sustained during the protest while he was working. And my mother is, of course, very, very worried for him and has been. And the only reaction, the only way she has to express her fear for my brother is by being angry at the protesters and angry at all of them. So her whole thing is, you know, they should be locked up, whatever the case may be, because that's the only way she has to express her fear for my brother. I'm a little more nuanced. I see both sides of the issue. Of course, I fear for my brother as well, and I support him, and I support the other law enforcement officers that are doing the right thing. But I also see the side of the people that are actually protesting legitimately and not just using it as an excuse for violence. Because I absolutely believe with great power comes great responsibility. So if we're going to give the law enforcement officers the power to enforce the law, they have the responsibility not to abuse it. And situations like, unfortunately, what happened with George Floyd, and situations that happened with Breonna Taylor, those are obviously wrong, 100% all the way. And I completely support accountability for the officers that do abuse their power. So, you know, I think it's a good opportunity to have dialogue. And I was trying to dialogue with one of my coworkers because I'm Caucasian and my coworkers are predominantly African American. And I think that's the only way that we're going to get beyond this, you know, oh, support the police officers, the protesters are a bunch of thugs versus, you know, Black Lives Matter and all police officers are bad. I think the only way we're going to get beyond that and actually make any changes is if people are dialoguing with each other, you know, actually trying to see each other's point of view.
Nicole?
Yes, sir.
I will tell you that, you know, I like what you were saying. And, you know, I think it's going to require leaders that are going to be willing to take this head on. You know, let me tell you something. You know, we have to come to the table and admit that the deck hasn't been even. It hasn't been. You know, we know that the prison system in this country was established after the abolishment of slavery. And what they did was they preyed on African Americans. If you didn't have a job, well, then they would basically say you're loitering, and they'd send you to 10 years and put you on a chain gang. You know, we have to first admit that our ancestors were wrong. And then we have to work to try to fix the things that are going on, you know, in this country. There is a double standard. African Americans are being killed at an alarming rate for moving their hands from the 10 to 2 to the 9 and 3. But yet I got white people with AR-15s walking into Capitals with 30-round magazine clips, and they are going there, and there's nothing taking place. You know, there's a double standard in this country, and until we get leaders that are willing to go to the front and address that double standard, nothing's going to change. Until Black Lives Matter, all lives will never matter. And that's a fact.
Absolutely. And this is why you have to be a part of our community. Get out there. Even if it's a Black Lives protest, make sure that you are part of that community. Because like you told us, Nicole, your story matters. It's going to make a huge difference once we're able to speak on the House floor to share that.
Oh.
So.
And there was way too many of them. They were coming out the holes everywhere.
Did they bite you?
Yeah.
All right.
I think,
Well, that's it for tonight, folks. You enjoy your evening, and please make sure that you sign up at No Dem Left Behind.
They scared me to death.